Hi, guys. Welcome back to a new episode of The Life of a Makeup Artist. Today is a very special episode, not only because we are talking to the Essence Gant of BuzzFeed. It's our last episode of 2019, and it's been quite a year. And I really love what Essence has been doing at BuzzFeed. She is the beauty director there, and she has a lot of insight, y'all. So I am excited to have her on the show today. Essence, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Of course. I am so excited. How have you been? What's going on? How's life? It's Christmas. It's into a new year. Like, I'm not sure if you celebrate Christmas, but it's a lot of things going on.
Yes, I do. I do celebrate Christmas. I'm actually going home to Georgia this weekend to be there with my family throughout the new year. So I'm excited about that. And, everything is going really well. I was actually just talking to my sister the other day, though, and I was like, I'm ready for 2020. I feel very much like, your senior year in high school or college when you're just kind of like, okay, I'm going to class because I got to go to class, but I'm really not doing anything because quite frankly, I'm over it. That's just how I feel about 2019. I'm like, okay, I'm just ready for a new season. So I'm ready. I'm looking forward to 2020, but I don't really have any major complaints. Everything is going pretty good. So I'm grateful for that.
I'm so glad to hear that. So let you explain to the people exactly who you are. Now, you have been the voice of inclusion and diversity in beauty at BuzzFeed. Tell us a little bit about your journey before you got there.
Totally. So I am from Georgia and I actually went to college for social work. So that is what I majored in. And then I went to grad school to get my master's in social work. But I knew that when I was getting my master's, I really didn't want to do social work anymore. But, getting a master's allowed me the opportunity to get to New York because when I got my master's, I went to SUNY Albany, upstate in Albany, New York. So that was a very strategic decision for me to go there because I was like, at that point I knew I really wanted to transition into media, but I didn't have any contacts or, no internships like that because I had been going to school for social work. So I was like, I need to get to New York so that I can find a way to, break into the industry. And that's what I did. And I went to Albany. My program was a year. And kind of during that whole time, I would just, come into the city a lot, into New York City and just network and go to industry events to try to make those contacts and do what I needed to do to get into the industry. And so fast forward to, me graduating grad school and my very first job, I was able to get through someone I had met at an event. And it was at Hype Hair magazine. And it's just been kind of
Hype hair.
Exactly. The ones who know hype
Exactly.
hair,
It's
for
like the
sure.
mecca of Black beauty.
Absolutely.
So after you finished school and you did hype hair, how did BuzzFeed come up? Did you just apply? Like, was it like those magical things where it just popped in your inbox? Like, how did that whole thing happen?
It definitely was not magical. It was a super struggle. I was at Hype Hair I'm trying to think, maybe a year or two. It was longer than a year, maybe 2 years and some change. And then as what's happening to a lot of print media right now, we got bought out because it's very hard to survive as a print media publication when, the digital age is taking over and you can get information instantly. So magazines were really suffering and we were one, of those that suffered. So we got bought out. I got laid off. And in that time of being laid off for, I don't know, maybe like a year. It was a while. And I, would just freelance and I worked in retail. And then a friend of mine worked at another Black magazine called Black Enterprise, which is, really focused on business. And she was like, hey, we're hiring. And so I applied there. And so after a year of, just grinding it out in retail and freelancing for a few outlets, I was able to start working again in media full time at Black Enterprise. And I was there from November 2014 until May 2015. So I wasn't there that long, because the whole time I was there, I was still looking for other opportunities that aligned with my interest a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always, really into beauty, style, women's lifestyle in general. So I was really grateful to work at Black Enterprise, and I learned a lot, but it was so business heavy, and that just wasn't my interest. And so while I was there, I ended up going to a networking event for a bridal magazine. And I wasn't really interested in bridal either, but I was like, it's still a little bit more closely aligned to women's lifestyle. So I'll try it out. And I went there, and I ended up meeting a good friend who is still my friend till this day. And we just really connected, and nothing from the bridal networking event worked out. But a few months later, the friend that I had met there, her name is Naja, she texted me and she was like, hey, I was just on BuzzFeed looking for jobs for myself, and I saw that they're hiring for a beauty editor. You should totally apply to this. It seems so up your alley. And so I did apply, and I went through maybe 2 or 3 rounds of interviews, and I got it.
Oh my God, that is amazing. But you
Mm-hmm.
say, like, I love that you said like nothing really ever came out from the event, but eventually it did. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you go to something and you're like, oh, that was a waste of time, but you just never know.
Absolutely, you don't. And it's so crazy, because I tell people all the time, like, I was obviously familiar with BuzzFeed because it was this huge media outlet that had really, revolutionized digital media in general. So I knew what it was. I would see the videos and the content, and I would laugh at it. I would take the quizzes, but it never occurred to me to check and see if they were hiring. Like, I don't know why. It just didn't occur to me to say, like, hey, they obviously have employees, you should apply. So had I not gone to that event and met Naja, and she, didn't send me that not the application, but if she didn't send me that role, I don't know that I ever would have even checked for them to work there. And, so it was so interesting. And I'm a very spiritual person. So I like to think that nothing is ever in vain, and something always comes out of a situation, even if you don't see how, and even if it's not instantly. Like, it may not be exactly in that moment. It could be, in my case, like 2 months later, or 3 months later, or it could be 5 years later.
Exactly.
You just never know who you're going to meet and what will come of that. And that was definitely one of those situations.
Things definitely always happens as they should. I strongly believe that as well. So after, being at BuzzFeed and being part of, so you've been there since 2015. Yes. So you've seen the effect that Fenty had on the beauty industry, and there was quite a notable effort with some brands, keyword some, on inclusion. And, we've kind of seen brands continuously try to like up their, shade selections. But what do you think some of the challenges the beauty industry still faces, and not necessarily only pertaining to like shades of foundation and concealer?
Absolutely. I think that, shouts out to Fenty and just Rihanna, because I think they definitely revolutionized cosmetics, and not just cosmetics, but the way cosmetics are marketed, from the models that they choose, the kinds of campaigns that they do. And so I feel like what Fenty did really well was representation. And I think that that is something that we still need to work on. And that's still a challenge for the beauty industry, is representation in general. So we have a lot of surface conversations around race and inclusion, but we don't have as much conversation around skin tone, from light to dark, hair texture, from straight to coarse, body type and ability, people in wheelchairs or with prosthetic limbs, they wear cosmetics too. So why are they not reflected in campaigns as often? And we've made a lot of progress, but we have to do a lot more. We can't just stop at making sure we have a racially ambiguous girl in the campaign with the 3 other skinny white girls that are in the campaign. We have to have more inclusion, I think, and representation in those kinds of what I like to call like sub-identities or categories of a larger overarching identity. So like, to be Black is an identity, but to be dark skinned and Black is an identity. To be light skinned and Black is an identity. To be clear and Black is an identity. So we just need to work on representation in those subcategories, and making sure that we're not favoring one type of person in the beauty market, which is something that we've done a lot. And I feel like we have a lot more work to do in that regard.
I totally agree 100%. And how, in your opinion, do you think BuzzFeed approaches their content differently from other outlets? You've come from, maybe not the same role, but you've been in different spaces. How do you think BuzzFeed like separates themselves from everyone else?
I think that relatability is what we do best. And the simplest way I can put it is like, we don't flex. Like, we're not we're
It's
not
like, I'm using this $200 moisturizer this week. I'm like, okay.
Right. And to be honest, like if there's a beauty editor somewhere using a $200 moisturizer, you know, that's great, but what she may not, or he may not, or they may not say is that that 200 moisturizer was sent to them by a PR company. They're not buying that themselves. And so I always say, like, you know, we don't really flex. We're not recommending things to our readers that we can't even afford ourselves. And there are so many people at BuzzFeed, all in different stages of their lives. And our content generally reflects where we are as the writer. So for instance, when I first started working at BuzzFeed, I wasn't recommending designer shoes because I was 28 years old. I was paying a New York cost of living on a mid-level salary, and I couldn't afford designer shoes. So, and if I was reviewing something outside of my budget, I was clear that it was something sent to me as a perk of being a beauty editor. And now I am recommending, you know, I do write content where I'm recommending expensive beauty products or designer shoes because I'm in a position to actually get those things for myself, not just request them as a sample from a designer or a PR company. And then I have to send it back. And I can explain now why that I'm, you know, at 32 years old, why I see those things as a worthwhile investment. So there's something for everybody there, whatever stage of life you're in. And in general, I think that just makes for more authentic content, and it really builds a real trust and rapport between our audience and the content creator. So the video producer or the writer or whoever. It's just like a level of transparency. I think that we have that kind of separates us because we're not, you know, again, we're not flexing. We're just very honest about what it is.
I love that. No, I'm curious. You get to try everything under the sun. And I want to know what has been your utmost faves of 2019. Now let's do like foundation and concealer and maybe anything else, but we'll get into hair a little bit later.
That is so hard because yeah, I do get so much stuff. I'm like, when it comes to beauty, I'm such a like, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of girl. So like as far as foundation is concerned, I still love Fenty. I use Fenty foundation quite often, and I love the MAC Matchmaster formula.
That is OG. I used to work for MAC, so I know when that first came out, I was like, okay. Oh my God.
I love MAC Matchmaster. And I have to say, every time I wear it, people are like, oh my gosh, like what foundation do you use? Or your skin looks so good. So I'm like, if it's not broke, I just don't fix it.
Are you like a 7.5?
Yes. Oh my God, you're good. Jesus. Oh my, that is my exact shade.
Oh no, I love it. It's only 10 shades. It's like 10, well, 9 now, I think.
But still, that's still really good. That's impressive. Whoa.
I love that foundation. So like, is there anything new though that came out this year? So for me, I think, what was one thing that like the latest thing for me is, do you know the brand Innisfree? It's a Korean brand.
Yes. I love them.
So wait, have you seen their new foundation and concealers?
I've seen it, but I have not tried them at all.
No, so they're really good. Actually, I had the opportunity to help the brand with the shade, like the shade formula, not like formula, not the formula, but the colors.
Oh, that's amazing.
Thank you. And then, but I'm like, besides that, they're actually really good. You know what I mean? Because we, as a woman, people of color, we're not really looking to Korean brands for, you know, foundation and concealers, but I've been using it and I actually really love it. But I don't know if I would say it's of 2019. It's like of right now. But yeah, what about like color products like lips or eyes? What has been like something you would definitely repurchase if it finished?
So I really love basically every Pat McGrath eyeshadow palette that has come out.
Ooh.
And I'm not even an eyeshadow person, but I love the pigment. It's like the few times that I do wear eyeshadow, it is most likely from her collections. And I can't even remember them all, but she has one come out like every year, like multiple
It's
ones a
all the
year.
seduction and everything.
Yes.
Yes.
So like it's just very luxe. It's, the packaging is very luxury, but also the product matches, because I feel like that's a thing too, where there's so many brands and the product packaging will look amazing and it's so luxe and it's really cute, but then the product is just very average.
Yeah.
And I feel like Pat McGrath is one of the few brands, Pat McGrath Labs is like one of the few brands where everything is consistent, and it does cost more, but the quality is actually really there.
It'll
So the
last. Yeah.
packaging is consistent with the actual product and the application, the staying power. So I really, really love her foundation. And she just, oh my God, it was like part of the holiday. I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, because it was part of the holiday collection.
Is it one of
And
the
it is
pods?
it's a okay, it's called the Chroma Lux Highlight Cream.
Oh,
And
there's two, the blue and the blue
yes,
packaging and
and
the
the pink,
gold.
yes.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm obsessed with that because it's so versatile. Like I used it the other day and I had on this blue lipstick by the Crayon Case called Presidential. And then
Mm.
on top of the blue lipstick, I put the blue, highlight cream from Pat McGrath, and it gave it this really pretty frosty effect. And I'm
Yum.
just like, so you can wear it on your lips, on your eyes, cheekbones, your body, like your clavicles. It's just such a versatile product. And it doesn't look, because cream highlights can be tricky. They can cake, they can look dry, but it
Yeah.
just looks so good. So I'm obsessed with that. And she just launched that not that long ago.
Yeah, I love that. And I'm just like sometimes like I love with her products, not even sometimes, but like I know that you can apply with your fingers or like a brush. Like it's so creamy. Like you can
Absolutely.
literally just like play around with it. It's so easy.
Yes.
So beauty trends are always changing, and to me, quite frankly, always recycling. What were the trends of 2019 that you really thought, made the hugest impact?
You know what is so funny to me, which I've observed a lot, just like working in the beauty space on the media side, is that beauty is funny because it's very kind of segregated in the sense that there's now a beauty space on social media with Instagram and YouTube. And then there's that traditional beauty space and editorial, high fashion, celebrity pop culture and the red carpet. So as far as the social media space is concerned, which is heavily dominated by influencers, the look is very beat, like it's extremely beat, lashes, brows, foundation, concealer, eyeshadow. And even I've noticed there are like trends in cosmetic procedures. So like, everyone kind of gets the same work done as far as how they get their lips filled very similarly. And it's fine. Like I love it. Like it's like its own lane.
Yeah.
And then there's this other aspect of beauty, which is, editorial and high fashion. And in that space, it's more dominated by like A-list celebrities and models. And it's a little bit more of a natural beat. So it's still snatched, but more effortlessly so.
Yeah.
So there's like a lot of dewy makeup. Brows are done, but they're not as sculpted. Eyeshadow isn't as much of a statement. And even when it is, it's the focus and the lip is more muted.
Yeah.
So like, women like Rihanna and Beyonce, they're glamorous, but like not too extra with it.
Yeah.
So beauty, I feel like the trends it just depends on like if you're talking about the influencer space or like the A-list celebrity space or high fashion space. But that's just what I've noticed. Like I would say social media influencer is like extremely beat, and celebrity or high fashion is like snatched and glamorous, but a little bit more effortless.
That's definitely true. And what do you think, like, for 2020, what do you think would be like the biggest thing? Because I feel like one year it was contouring and everybody wants to contour. I think everybody was about to do this year, and the glowy and glossy makeup has been lasting. It's been about 2 years now to me. So I'm like, I feel like now I don't know, like there's so much happening, and I'm like, I really want to know what you think, because you see, you're behind the scenes. Like, what do you think is going to be the thing for 2020?
It's so hard to say because I feel like the beauty space trends happen kind of overnight. Like
Hmm.
they're not as predicted or planned as fashion, where you have like fashion week and florals are it for this
Yeah.
season, you know? So I do think more graphic makeup though, especially graphic eye makeup will be on the scene. And there's this show on HBO called Euphoria, and Zendaya is the like star of it. But there's this character, her name is Jules, and she's played by the actress Hunter Schafer. But on the show, Jules really nailed the kind of abstract eye makeup.
Hmm.
So she played a lot with swatched shadows and shapes drawn with colored eyeliner. So instead of a more precise blended, eyeshadow, she may do like a bare eye and then draw like a cloud around her eye with white eyeliner. And then that was just the look. And I saw a lot of girls play with that quite a bit after she did it so well on the show. And I really hope to see more of that in 2020, just having fun with makeup and not being so robotic or literal with it.
It's very refreshing that people are just like coloring outside the lines and just having fun.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So for your job at BuzzFeed, you stay on top of everything in the beauty world, hair, makeup, everything. What outlets besides BuzzFeed do you look for beauty news? Maybe outlets or brands where you're like, if I go to them or if I sign on to their Instagram, like I know what they're talking about, and I'm like, yes, this is it.
Fenty, obviously, and I mean, I don't hate to keep saying them so much, but they've just done such a good job. And also like, so many indie brands on the rise too, like Crayon Case, which I mentioned earlier.
Hmm.
And they're very popular among influencers and beauty enthusiasts on Instagram. You have the Lip Bar, which really caters to the everyday girl who wants to look good, but she's not that interested in spending 2 hours to do so.
Yeah.
There's this brand called I think Juvia's Place.
Yes.
And they just, came out with foundation and concealers recently. And I think they're doing a very good job of expanding to be a real competitor
Yeah.
amongst brands. Danessa Myricks Beauty, which is by the makeup artist extraordinaire Danessa Myricks, and it really caters to everyone, but especially those professionals who understand technique and know how to achieve that elevated editorial look. So I'm kind of inspired by all of those brands, and I look to all of them because they've each done so well at finding their lanes and rising to be real authorities in the space. And I think that they all have different audiences, because beauty is not just one audience. There is the everyday girl. There's the soft beat girl. There's the like extremely beat girl, and she has on lashes every day,
Hmm.
and then there's some overlap between those audiences. But each of those brands that I mentioned, they all know their strong points, and they've built even stronger brands and audiences.
Hmm.
So I check for each of them, because I know that they're going to know what the next thing is for their particular audience, because there's no one next thing for every audience, because there's multiple audiences within beauty. So each one of those brands, they know like, okay, this is going to be what's hot for the girl who's super beat. This is going to be what's hot for the girl who's more natural, so those are just a few brands that come to mind.
Have you tried anything from Mented Cosmetics?
Yes. Oh my God.
Oh my God. I'm obsessed.
They're so good. And like earlier when you were asking me like new things that I tried in 2019, they were one of them. They have these foundation sticks, and I don't know if they came out in 2019 or before, but they sent me a package of them earlier this year.
Yeah,
and I just used them the other day. I ran out of foundation and I was like, I'm going to try this out. And I was obsessed.
It's like skin. It's literally like skin.
Like skin.
Really good.
So good. And so I love them. And I think they have a great shade range of lipsticks as well, especially like reds. So yeah, love Mented. And I'm excited to see what they do as well.
Same. I made a palette out of all the nude lipsticks that they carry, and every time I have it on set, people are like, what is this? I need to get it right now. And I'm like, you gotta support it. It's so good. Because it's like, especially for a brand like that, you might think like, oh well, there's nude lipsticks already, but it's just like, no, there's so many selections that are so good. I highly recommend it.
Same.
And for okay, so you do a lot of content on your own, and I am here for it. I love it.
Thank
And
you.
I want you to give our listeners some advice, to those who are interested in creating more content and really putting themselves out there in the new year. Like, what advice would you give to them?
You know what? I would say, well, one, if you work in media, I feel like it's especially important to create content for yourself and on your own, because media is the whole landscape of media is changing drastically, like day by day. So it's not, sufficient enough to just be a beauty editor. Like, you also have to be kind of like this brand, for yourself as well, because the industry is so fickle and things are constantly changing. So to stay, competitive, you have to kind of have, your own brand, or at least have some type of personality. And that doesn't mean that you have to have 1,000 or 100,000 followers and be verified on Instagram. That can just mean that when a brand or an outlet looks at you, they can tell, like, she has the potential to create compelling content and connect with our audience. So I think first, my advice is, like, prove that you know how to connect with audiences and people in the space. And as far as, like, types of content, or, creating content, I would honestly say it really varies by person. I
Mhm.
know that for me personally, I found that my audience really looks to me as a personality. So I can't just do a tutorial sped up with no talking, because they want to hear from me. So
Mhm.
they like to see what I do and how I do it, but they also want me to talk them through it, because my delivery is very practical and funny or lighthearted. So for as many comments as I get about how much they like a look or where they can get a product, there are also crying, laughing emoji comments, or like people will be like, "Oh my gosh, you're a mood," or "You crack me up."
Yeah.
And the same thing goes for my work on BuzzFeed. Readers and viewers comments are usually a mix of, "OMG, I love that look," and also, "Oh my gosh, when Essence said XYZ, I was cracking up." So in general, I think it's important to pay attention to how your audience responds to the different things that you post or create. And then you have to compare the engagement between your content, and whatever they respond to best is the type of content that's best for you. So for me, it's, educational, or tutorial content mixed with a lot of my personality. For
Mhm.
somebody else, they may not really want to hear from you. They may just want to see what you do,
Yeah.
so it just varies. So I would say, like, kind of do a test and post different kinds of content and see how people respond to it. And then whatever people respond to the best or the most is what is going to be the kind of content that's probably best for you to post, the most consistently.
I love that. Do you think video content trumps photo? Because I've been reading a lot, and they've been saying video is just going to continue taking over, because people just seem to be enjoying video as over like a super curated feed, or like things that are way too produced.
Mm-hmm. I think so. I think that's just where we're headed. Like, the thing with, like, the social media age, I think what it's done is, like, it's taken the filters off of things, even though, like, every social media platform has filters. But when I say filters, I mean that, like, things are so real now. We're 20 years ago, you could hide, if you were a public figure, you could hide behind the lights and cameras of it all. And people didn't really get that close or as intimate of access to you, versus now people have, like, direct access to you, and people are blowing up from their kitchens or their bedrooms or their bathrooms, just on social media creating content. So people like to engage more, and you, through a photo, it's very filtered. It's like what you want people to see. But through a video, even though you can edit that, there's still something a little bit more real about it. It's a
Mhm.
conversation, and it's more
Mhm.
personal.
Mhm.
So I think that video is definitely, taking over more than just, your standard photo. And also, I happen to know that I know at least on Instagram, videos actually are, promoted more in the algorithm. So videos get more engagement automatically, because whatever Instagram's algorithm is, it favors video over your everyday post, your still photo.
And do you think video content on BuzzFeed does better than like the written articles, or is it pretty much neck and neck?
It just varies, but I will say that BuzzFeed is very known for video. Like, it's no secret that, like, you know, our videos are literally everywhere, like on social media, on the website, on YouTube, like, you know, and I don't want to say yes for sure because I don't know the exact breakdown of numbers, but if I had to bet money, I would say yes. You know, a video can go up today and, you know, depending on what the content is, get 1 million views. Like, a long form story probably is not.
Yeah, I totally agree. So you are a natural hair beauty, and I'm sure you've tried a lot of products this year. I have tried quite a few, like Pattern Beauty. I tried Hair Affinity. I just started using Mazzani. What are some of your favorite hair products?
When it comes to hair, I am such an indie brand groupie. Like, I hardly ever use store-bought hair products. Most of what I use is only sold online or in like local shops. At the moment, I'm really into Moisture Love.
Oh wow, I've never heard of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a brand called Moisture Love, and it's a plant-based hair company out of Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to hair, I'm just really big on ingredients because hair care is one of those beauty categories that is very, I feel like I said segregated like 5 times in this interview, but here we go again. Hair care is one of those beauty categories that's very segregated because different products work for different hair textures.
Yes.
And some ethnicities are more prone to have certain hair textures. So there are so many reports about how hair care catered to Black women have more toxins than those catered to white women or people with straighter or looser curled hair. And I can't help but think that some of those health issues that affect Black women more, like fibroids, for instance, are linked to what many of us are putting on our hair and scalps. So knowing that, I'm just especially selective about what I use. And Moisture Love has a very, very clean ingredient list, and it's reasonably priced, and they ship on time. So it's just, you know, it's an all around win for me.
Oh, I have to check that out. And you use their entire line?
Yes, shampoo, conditioner, leave-in conditioner, oil. That's like right now kind of the only thing that I'm using. I do use like different edge controls from the drugstore. And even though like a lot of edge controls, actually most edge controls aren't even that healthy because there's so much alcohol in them. Yeah. I still, you know, I use them anyway because I be like, my edges real slick, girl. But right. But you know, that's like the only thing that I use that's probably not that clean, but everything else, you know, right now Moisture Love is my brand. There's also this other brand called Afroveda, Afroveda.
Yes.
And they're amazing. I love them as well. So, you know, they're great as well, but Moisture Love is what I'm using at the moment.
So how far have you gone to test a product? Any product, it doesn't matter, any product or service, how far have you gone? Because I know it can get crazy sometimes. It takes a long time to test some things. So tell us the secrets.
Okay, I will try just about anything as long as it's like, you know, within my values when it comes to beauty. So like, I'm not about to put anything in my hair or whatever, like, you know, but like, I'll try just about anything. So I've gone beyond products and I have done actual treatments. Like I've gotten vagina steaming, which is
really?
Yes. And there is a video of me right now on YouTube sitting on a steam pot in a robe, drinking mimosas.
Do we need this on our live? I need this on. I'm going to YouTube right after this interview.
Yes, it is on the channel is called As Is, which is BuzzFeed's beauty channel on YouTube. But yeah, so there is a video out there of me sitting on a steam pot in a robe, drinking mimosas as heat flies up into my vagina. So I will try just about anything. Like I've done that. I've done the vajacial. I'm very very open. I'm a little skeptical about like the blood facial or the vampire facial that was really popular.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't tried that yet, only because when it comes to needles and blood, I have to really, really know the establishment, the cleanliness, because
Yeah.
you can get infections and diseases from stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
I'm very, very selective when it comes to things that are a little bit more invasive
Yeah.
and quote unquote surgical. But yeah, I'm pretty open. I'm super, super open. There's not too much that I won't try when it comes to beauty. Now, if I maintain it and keep it up, that's another thing. But I'll try it at least once to let
Yeah.
the audience know what's up.
Have you been to the face gym? I want to go. I haven't done that yet.
I have not. I have not done that, but maybe I'll do that in 2020.
Yeah. So for as is, what are some of the things you guys are focused on in the new year? Like you mentioned, as is BuzzFeed's beauty channel. And you guys have been focusing on inclusion, diversity, and like really switching things up. And what is the goal for 2020?
I think honestly to just keep furthering the conversation and to keep, doing what we're doing, but doing it even bigger and better. And I think that's honestly our goal. And that's always our goal. Like, every year, kind of like every day, just to be more thoughtful about how we can be more inclusive and in a way that's very natural. I don't think that in order to normalize representation and inclusion, it can't always be an announcement. It can't always
Yeah.
be like these foundations for, Black women or dark skin. It just has to be like these
These are
foundations,
foundations, exactly.
you know? And so I think that we've done that really well. And it's something that we're continuing to do and just be more mindful of and just normalizing representation when it comes to not only beauty, but style and, just lifestyle content in general, wellness, and just, making sure that we normalize how we are having these conversations to be more inclusive.
I love that. I definitely think the authenticity and authority that you guys do it in is phenomenal, and I'm looking forward to like what's going to come in 2020 because it's been amazing so far. And if anyone has not seen any of the content, I highly suggest you go check it out.
Oh, thank you.
So what are you looking forward to in 2020, personally, professionally? Like, what are you looking forward to? I know you say you're over with this year, you're past. Like, what are you looking forward to? Like, to this year for me, it's my first year in my 30s. I just turned 30. So now
Oh,
I'm
welcome to
like,
the club.
right, I'm like, okay, I'm here, guys. Like, I'm in the room. I'm like, I'm here. What's going on? Like, what we drinking? So tell me, what are you looking forward to?
I think in the new year, I'm looking forward to expanding my brand within, media, like the brand that is Essence, and, just creating more content that allows me to be more visible and have a direct, kind of channel of communication with my audience and building my audience even more. I've really enjoyed experimenting and playing with IGTV. So I'm strongly considering like launching a YouTube in 2020.
Oh, you
So I'm
should,
really,
yeah.
yeah, I'm just really looking forward to that because I think it's just like a really good way to keep your, finger on the pulse of what's happening. Is, that's just where the industry is headed. That's where media is headed. Like people aren't, just looking to editors anymore as the authorities or the experts. They're looking to influencers now. And so I think that my goal for 2020 is just to do a better job of balancing both. I think 2019 is when I kind of really started to flirt with the idea of, the influencer space.
Mm-hmm.
And so 2020 is definitely, I want to definitely kick things up full gear, do it tenfold and really just balance, my profession as a beauty director in media, but also this influencer who has her own brand, within all of that.
I love that. I love that. And anything like that has nothing to do with work, like anything you're like, this is what I'm going to do. Like for me, I'm like, I've been wanting to take a dance class like for years and I haven't done it. And I'm just like, girl, just go, just go. Because I'm literally always dancing. Like I'll be walking on the street, I'll start dancing.
Love it. Yes, you should, girl. Go get your twerk on. Like Let me think, like not related to work, definitely travel more.
Okay.
I've got to do such a better job of that. I think when I first got here, like I was just like hustle, 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 because New York is intense. Like, you know, you have to grind. Like you can't just be sitting down chilling because it costs way too much for that. So now that I'm in a place where, you know, I'm a lot more stable, I think my goal for 2020 is to just enjoy, you know, everything that I've reached and not be so like uptight about work, but to actually take a break from work, travel more. I need more stamps on my passport for sure.
I love that. So tell us, how can we find out more about you, follow you for advice on skincare, makeup, and obviously see all the amazing things you're doing at BuzzFeed?
Yes, the best way to keep in, you know, contact with me is definitely Instagram. My handle is at the essence of, so that's THEESSENCEOF the essence of underscore. And you can find me on there, and I post everything I do for work on there. I post everything I do for myself on there. So it is definitely like the hub of essence. Like everything pertaining to me is going to be on my Instagram.
And soon, maybe we'll also be seeing your YouTube channel.
Yes,
I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, yes.
So thank you so much, Essence, for coming on with us today. You have closed off our 2019 perfectly, and we are so excited to see what's to come from you.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And thank you for having me and allowing me to close out the year. I feel so special. So thank you.
You're welcome. I will see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.